Welcome back to Washington, everyone. Still awaiting the sunrise here this morning, but it is going to be a very busy day in Washington. The House obviously passing that AMT patch yesterday. Largely, this vote came down to right along party lines. With us this morning, we have Republican Congressman Scott Garrett. He sits on the House Financial Services Committee, and he's here to talk us through exactly what's happening. Congressman, thank you for being here today.
It's good to be with you this morning. Thank you.
All right. It looks as if we're shaping up for a showdown on AMT. It's going to come down to a big battle between the House and the Senate. What do you think eventually happens?
Eventually, at the end of the day, somehow or other, we get to the point where this AMT situation is resolved yet again for this year, so that people can say that they are not put into the awful situation of paying even higher taxes.
Yeah, you're talking about 20 million Americans that might get into end up getting dragged in to these higher taxes.
Exactly. It goes from around 3 million people who were formerly in the system, who were, as you know, AMT was for the higher income individuals. It used to be around 3 million people. Actually, it used to be 154 people when it originally started. But if nothing is done, if we leave here from Congress and go home, and if nothing is done, it comes up to around 22 million people who will be coming into it. So it's no longer just a super wealthy, it's average middle-class Americans as well.
You know, this is, at this point, creating a lot of concern among the American public, because in the past, you figure these things get taken care of, but we're down to December 13th, and there is still not an answer. How much pressure does that put on both houses of Congress?
Well, it puts on both houses and it puts on both parties, but obviously we have to look who is responsible here, and the responsible parties are the Democrats. They're in charge. It's Harry Reid in the Senate, and it's Nancy Pelosi and Steny Hoyer here in the House, and the problem is not, as the Democrats want to say, pointed to the Republicans. It's Democrats who are in charge. They're putting up the bills. They can't talk together. They can't come to an agreement. They can't come to an accommodation. And because of that, that's why we're in the logjam that we are. And because of that also, the IRS in just, 3 weeks, January 1, they'll be sending out all the forms. They don't have forms to be able to mail out and say, here's the right forms to the people. And the taxpayers are put into the real difficult situation because they obviously are not going to get their refunds in time because of what the Democrats are doing.
Although the Democrats will point back and say this is because President Bush is threatening a veto. You're going to need 60 votes in the Senate to get something pushed through. At the end of the day, which side do you think actually blinks first?
Well, they can blame all they want on the president. They can blame all they want on the Republicans. The fact of the matter is the Democrats are in charge, and they have to come to terms first. They have to be able to come to the president and say, here's our plan, Mr. President, will you accept it? They haven't even done that because the Democrats in the Senate are saying, we do not want any pay-go. We do not want to raise the taxes on the American public. The Democrats in the House are saying, yes, we want to raise taxes. You know, I was thinking the other day that this is sort of back to the old maxim about during the Vietnam War when they said, we have to destroy the village in order to save it. And the Democrats in the House are saying the exact same thing. We have to raise your taxes via pay-go in order to lower your taxes on AMT. So it's the absurdity of the arguments within the Democrats' own conference.
Congressman Garrett, at the end of the day, though, somebody is going to have to blink, because I can't imagine that both parties don't want to see this get passed. Ultimately, at the end of the day, if you had to put your money on it right now, what would you say? Who blinks first?
Oh, definitely. The Democrats will have to blink because the American public will not forgive them if they were going to actually raise taxes. They will not forgive them. They will not forgive the Democrats if they actually allow 22 million people to have their taxes go up. Nor will the American public forgive the Democrats if they say you have to raise my taxes someplace else in order for me to get a tax cut.
Even if it's hedge funds that they raise taxes on? Do you think the American people really care if they raise taxes on hedge funds?
I think the American public will understand the day that what the Democrats in the House are talking about doing is raising their taxes permanently, forever, just to get a one-year fix, and then, as you and I were discussing it before, that the Democrats will have to come again next year and raise taxes someplace else to take care of that patch.
Yeah, a patch every year, and we're not even getting this taken care of during the course of the year.
And they keep on raising taxes, and what that also does, one last point, is that it raises the overall tax on the overall economy. You know, historically, we're around 18.9% of all GDP as far as taxes coming into the federal government. If the Democrats get what they want to do, that number just continues to escalate.
All right. Congressman Garrett, thank you very much for coming in today. Appreciate it.
Thank you.